If you want to watch this video in Hindi or Telugu, check the description. Hi guys. So today's topic is supernova. What is supernova? A supernova is the explosion of the star. It is the largest explosion that occurs in the space according to NASA. What causes a supernova? A supernova is caused when there is a change in the core of the star. The change in the core of the star occurs in two different ways. Let us know about the life cycle of the star. A star is formed from the massive clouds of dust and gas in the space, which is also known as nebula. Nebula consists of hydrogen. Gravity begins to pull the dust and the gas together. As the mass falls together, it gets hot. A star is formed when it is hot enough for the hydrogen nuclei to fuse to make the helium. The fusion process releases enough energy which keeps the core of the star hot. Here is a little physics about the gravity and the nuclear energy of the star. A star is balanced between two opposite forces. Gravity squeezes star to the smallest possible, but the burning nuclear fuel creates a strong pressure. This outward push resists the inward squeeze of the gravity. When a massive star runs out of the fuel, it cools off and then gravity wins and suddenly collapses. But interesting, no? Now, from stellar nebula, there are two paths of life of the star. Path 1. In this path, an average star is formed and then red giant is formed and then planetary nebula. A planetary nebula is created when a star blows off its outer layers after it has to run out of fuel to burn. Then the star becomes the white dwarf and the expanding gas cloud becomes invisible to us, ending the planetary nebula phase of evolution. Now path 2. In this path, a massive star is formed and then from the red supergiant is formed and then supernova takes place when the fuel runs out of the core of the star. Depending on the mass at the start of its life, a supernova will leave behind neutron star or a black hole. Neutron star are the smallest and densest stellar object. What does supernova consist of? Everything: the oxygen we breathe, the calcium present in our bones and the iron present in our blood and the silicon in our computers forms the star. As supernova explodes, it unleashes a hurricane of nuclear reactions. Supernova are neutrino factories. In 10 seconds, a core collapses. Supernova will release a burst of more than 10 raised to 58 neutrons and some ghostly particles which spread in the entire universe. Types of supernovas. There are two types of supernovas. A star can go supernova in one or two ways. Type 1 of supernova. Star accumulates the matter from a nearby until a runaway nuclear reaction ignites. Type 2. Star runs out of the nuclear fuel and collapses under its gravity. Now we will know about the type 1 in detail. Binary stars are two stars that orbit at the same point. One of the stars, a carbon-oxygen white dwarf, steals matter from its companion star. Eventually, the white dwarf accumulates too much matter. Having too much matter causes the star to explode, resulting into supernova. Now, in detail, we will know about the type 2 of supernova. As the star runs out of the nuclear fuel, some of its mass flows out of the core. Eventually, the core is so heavy that it cannot withstand its gravitational force. The core collapses, which results into giant explosion of the supernova. A fact related to Sun. The Sun is a single star, but it does not have enough mass to form supernova. How do NASA scientists study about the supernova? The NASA scientists use telescopes in order to learn about the supernova. Some telescopes are used to observe the visible light of the supernova and others are used to record the data of X-ray and the gamma rays. Both NASA's Hubble telescope and the Chandra X-ray observatory have captured the images of the supernova. how long does a supernova takes to explode? A few million years for the star to die, less than a quarter of a second for its core to collapse, a few hours for the shockwave to reach the surface of the star, a few months to brighten, and then just a few years to fade away. What will happen if supernova occurred near the Earth? A nearby explosion would still shower us with gamma rays and other high energy radiation. This radiation could cause the mutations in the earthly life. Also, the radiations from the nearby supernova can change the climate. Now let's talk about interesting visuals that we see in the sky, auroras. There is no connection between a supernova and the aurora, but what I feel is they look beautiful. On one hand, a supernova occurs somewhere in the universe which can be seen through a telescope, but a aurora occurs in the sky which we can see through our naked eye. Sometimes it is referred as polar lights, northern lights and southern lights, which is a natural light which display in the earth's sky, predominantly which is seen in the high altitude regions only. Auroras are the result of the disturbances in the magnetosphere caused by the solar wind. What is solar wind? A solar wind is a stream of charged particles which is released from the upper layer of the sun, which is known as corona. This plasma consists of electrons, protons and alpha particles with kinetic energy between 0.5 and 10 keV. What is magnetosphere? A magnetosphere is a region of space surrounding an astronomical object in which charged particles are affected by the object's magnetic field. These particles are electrons and protons which are present in the upper atmosphere. The resulting ionization and excitation of atmospheric constituents emit light of varying color and complexity. So, basically the particles in the magnetosphere are disturbed by the solar wind. Forms of aurora: a mild glow, patches or surfaces, arc, curves, coronas and rays. The appearances of arcs, rays, curtains and coronas are determined by the shapes of the luminous parts of the atmosphere and viewer's position. Aurora's colors are formed due to the reaction with different elements in the atmosphere, mostly with oxygen and nitrogen. They are mostly in red, green, blue, ultraviolet, infrared, yellow and pink in the mix. They make a hissing and crackling sound, and also they change with the time. In other planets, auroras are possible and auroras are not at all harmful to the universe. So guys, I felt this episode a bit interesting to you. We have learnt about the supernovas and facts related to supernovas and also about the auroras. So guys, we'll meet you in the next episode of the Pseudoscience with new sci-fi topic. Until then, goodbye.